The first official college football playoff rankings of the season have been revealed, and with them the selection committee's evaluation of each team through the first two-thirds of the season. In Miami's case, despite a 7-0 record, the committee is not impressed. The Hurricanes, one of 4 unbeaten teams in the country, are ranked number 10. Obviously, if the season ended today, Miami would be on the outside looking in at the playoff field. The good news for Hurricane fans, however, is that Miami has its most difficult matchup still ahead. As a result, Miami's path to the playoff is, in all likelihood, pretty straightforward. Keep winning, and the Hurricanes are in. Lose a game and the playoff dream is dead. In its initial rankings, the CFP selection committee proved how much it values strength of victories. That criteria hurt Miami. For instance, Notre Dame, despite having a loss, is ranked 7 spots ahead of the Hurricanes by virtue of having played 4 top 25 teams. But, with games against number 13 Virginia Tech and the number 3 Irish the next 2 weeks, plus a potential ACC Championship game, Miami's can turn its glaring weakness into a selling point. While it seems highly unlikely that an undefeated ACC champion would be excluded from the playoff, the initial CFP rankings suggest it isn't impossible. If both Georgia and Alabama make it to an SEC title matchup unscathed and play a competitive game, both will almost certainly make the 4-team field. With Miami currently slotted behind 3 Big Ten teams and 2 Big 12 teams, it is at least conceivable, though, again, very unlikely, that the winners of those 2 conferences could nudge the Hurricanes out of the field. With that in mind, here is a guide to who Miami fans should cheer for and root against in the last 4 weeks of the season. Cheer for Clemson. Miami is not the only ACC team playing for a division crown in Week 10, and the matchup between Clemson and North Carolina State that will effectively decide the ACC Atlantic Division Championship could also impact the Hurricanes. If Miami beats Virginia Tech, the Hurricanes will clinch the ACC Coastal Division. It would then almost certainly face the winner between NC State and Clemson in the conference title game. While it may be tempting for Miami fans to root for NC State, who would likely provide an easier matchup than the defending national champion, beating a 1-loss Clemson team that is currently number 4 in the CFP rankings would provide a far bigger boost to Miami's resume. If Notre Dame and Virginia Tech both stumbled down the stretch and slide in the rankings, wins over those 2 teams plus NC State might not be enough for Miami to pass a team like, say, Wisconsin in the rankings. But with a win over 1-loss Clemson, no matter where the rest of Miami's opponents are ranked, the Hurricanes would be impossible to exclude from the playoff. Cheer against Wisconsin. Speaking of the Badgers, they find themselves in a similar position to Miami after the reveal of the first CFP rankings. Wisconsin, like Miami, is undefeated but has yet to play a single top 25 opponent. Like the Hurricanes, the Badgers wouldn't make it into the field if the season ended today. They're currently ranked 9th. Miami fans will likely root for almost every team ranked ahead of them to lose, but Wisconsin poses a special threat because it too could boast a rare selling point on its resume, a 0 in the loss column. With wins over Notre Dame and Virginia Tech, an undefeated Miami team would likely have the edge over an undefeated Wisconsin, but Mark Richt and company will be able to sleep easier if the Badgers pick up a loss before season's end. Cheer for Notre Dame. As a general rule, fans should hope every team on the Hurricanes' schedule wins when it isn't playing Miami. But Notre Dame is especially important. At number 3, the Irish are the highest-ranked team left on Miami's regular season schedule, and a matchup between an undefeated Miami team and a top 4 Notre Dame will provide a golden opportunity for Miami to prove itself on the brightest of stages. Aside from that meeting, Miami will hope Notre Dame can continue the dominant form it has shown lately. If Notre Dame were to stumble and be upset by Wake Forest, this week's opponent, or maybe a win over the Irish, could turn from a marquee top 5 win to a top 20 win. Cheer against Oklahoma. Of the 9 schools ranked ahead of Miami at the moment, the team that appears most likely to stay there, aside from Georgia and Alabama, who continue to steamroll SEC opponents and appear destined for an SEC title showdown, is probably Oklahoma. The Sooners have one of the most impressive wins in the country, a 15-point victory at number 6 Ohio State, and their one loss, against Iowa State, continues to look better as the number 15 Cyclones rise up the ranks. Plus, they still have games with number 11 Oklahoma State and number 8 TCU on their regular season schedule, as well as a potential Big 12 title game. Most likely, a one-loss Sooner team and an undefeated Miami would both finish among the top 4, but if for some reason the last 2 spots came down to an undefeated Wisconsin, a one-loss Oklahoma and Miami, the Hurricanes would at least have cause for concern.